I wanted to go over something that I've seen going on over the last, I guess, month or so, maybe last month or two. Um, and every time it's very interesting how the energy is in here. And I'm not like a woo person, but it seems like if one person's having a problem, other people are having the same exact problem. So it's almost like a very specific problem travels through town in our world here. So it's fine. I just always like to think about how I could articulate why it's important to get through these hurdles as they come up and why you might be struggling with them. So one of the things that's happening right now is we have a lot of you potty training, which is fabulous. And you'll get to a point where the child knows pee and poop where it's supposed to go, and but they can't go on their own, meaning that they are requiring somebody to remind them to go. And this is called kind of like prompt dependence. And when we're teaching a lot of these skills, whether it's actually any child, really, when we're teaching them potty training, we're kind of telling them when to go because they're not very familiar with when their body needs to release and what it feels like when nature calls. And then eventually, once we feel like, okay, they're getting it, every time we go, they use the toilet, great. Then we want them to be able to go independently. The whole part of potty training that makes it the independent part, the part of it that makes it so important for our kids to grasp is the actual concept of going alone, not just actually going in the toilet, going alone. And us as parents, especially parents of children on the spectrum, get very excited when we get to the point where we're having to remind them, but they're going now in the toilet. They're not wearing diapers anymore. They're keeping their stuff dry. And every 2 hours, every 3 hours, I'm just reminding them to go to the bathroom. And we get very content here. This is a big celebration moment. And I want you to celebrate it. I think it is. It's a very cool spot to be in when you're at this stage where you've been in diapers for potentially years. Now your child is going. We want to celebrate that, but we want to celebrate it, but there's still more work to do. And I think a lot of parents get a little shaky at this spot because you've worked so hard, or you've spent so many years in diapers and you've worked so hard at actually getting them to this point that you're scared of gambling it. I kind of feel like you guys feel like you're gambling it, putting it on the line to potentially get to that next stage, which is really full on independence. And we have to get the really clean about what's enjoyable for us and what's really ultimately what's best for our kids, because as parents we're not changing the diapers anymore. Reminding them or putting a little reminder on our phone every couple of hours to tell them to go is really no big deal. It really feels wonderful as a parent to be at this spot, especially if you spent years changing diapers and cleaning them and paying for them and all of that. But true independence for the child isn't at that stage. True independence is when the child feels their body needing the urge to go, they go and release on their own. So sometimes we kind of get on the Rose Bowl float and we're celebrating and we kind of are ready to walk, run into the sunset there. But that's not the finish line with potty training. Full on finishing potty training is when the child is going on their own. So I kind of think about this and I think, well, why is it parents struggle at this spot? Why is this kind of like the hairy middle, right? Like, why do parents really have a difficult time with this? And I thought about it, and there's a couple things I think that's going on. The first part is we're all in the autism community and we've all heard the word regression. And we all think regression is death, and that's bullshit. It's not, right? Regression is a part of life. Every human experiences at some point whether it's like, oh, I haven't ridden a bike in a while and now I'm super wobbly, or I haven't gotten on the roller skates and now I'm not as good as I used to be. I remember one summer I was like a fish going underwater and I was doing dives and I was doing all types of things, and I had spent a couple years not doing swimming that intensive. When I got back to it, I had this fear that I never had before. That's a regression, right? It's the only way that I can overcome an aggression is to just kind of chip away at the anxiety, work towards building, strength against, to push against that fear. That's the only way to do it. That's kind of how it works for everybody. But sometimes, somewhere in the autism community, regression meant death. Oh my gosh, if my child on the spectrum has a regression, they're never gonna bounce back. And that's just bullshit. And it's just some sort of narrative that's in our community that's really been keeping parents stuck. So, you're right, we all have this in our head about regression and autism and how it's really whatever. Then I gained this huge goal of actually my child using the bathroom. So now I need to like gamble it, right? That's why I kind of feel like you guys feel like you're gambling. I'm throwing it on, like putting it all on the line, the progress I made up to this point, which is the child will go every time I ask them to. Now I'm going to wait and see what happens, and they could have accidents, and then oh my gosh, next thing you know, we're back in diapers and my life is a spin out, right? That's what our survival brain wants to tell us because it knows how hard we work to get the results we have now. It knows how hard that life was, and now it wants to get cozy in the new normal. But we didn't have babies just to live survival lives. We had babies to teach them not to just, teach them just to like make the bare minimum. We want them to thrive. And we have to get out of our own way. We can't let the fear and the bullshit around regression and autism be the reason that I don't take my child to the next level, which is full independence of using the toilet. So here's what's going to happen. If we have a child that was happy to go pee or poop or both, right, on the toilet every time I take them, but when what I want now is I want them to go on their own, right? So here's what I normally tell my parents. You've got to start widening the window. So I always say, listen, I like to experiment because I don't believe that bullshit. I don't believe that regression is death. I don't believe that if we potty train our kids and we get them going pee and poop on command, like, take him every couple hours. If I believe that if they can do that, they can definitely listen to nature call too. There's me saying it, my prompting, and then there's their body prompting. I see them very similar. One voice is from the outside, one voice is from the inside. They've just got to learn to listen for it. So for me, if I had a child up until this point with my belief system, I would be like, fuck it. Now I'm not going to tell you all day. Let's experiment. Because I have the core belief that if they've come this far, they can definitely continue. And then I tweak and test my process based upon the response to that. But I try to be gentle with you guys because I know that you covet what you have. You're so excited to have gotten what you want, and we're still trying to deprogram that bullshit that bullshit thinking around regression that we can't like I want to be gentle and I want to be able to, I want to be kind to that. So I say to you guys, okay, how often are you taking your baby? So you're taking him every 2 hours, or you taking him every 3 hours. Great. Widen the window. So what'll happen is I'll say, okay, if you're taking them every 2 hours, let's try every 2 hours and 15 minutes, then 2 hours and 30 minutes. And then what'll happen is I'll be very clean on the instruction. I'll say, okay, each time take them 15 minutes later. Next thing you know, I'll get on a call after a week and they're like, all right, we moved it up 15 minutes. And that's the way we've stayed all week, right? Because we're so scared, whether it's conscious or subconsciously, we're so scared of losing what we had that we're coveting what we had. Like we're so scared of losing, we're just coveting where we are right now. And what I want you to understand is that if your child has gotten to this point where they pee on command every 2 or 3 hours, they're listening to your external voice, but we all know that there's an internal voice that'll tell us when to go. Nature will call, and they're going to have to learn to answer that call. Just like they learn to answer your commands, they can learn to answer their body's commands. But if we keep taking them every 2 or 3 hours, they're never going to get that opportunity. So I just wanted to make today, like, it's so interesting because you guys come through town with themes, and the energy theme of the last 2 months is prompt dependence. We get very comfortable, get very complacent at this spot that to shake this tree, every up level is shaking your tree. It's going to be really uncomfortable. Your body's going to be saying, no, no, no. Your brain's going to be telling you all the reasons why not to fuck things up. We just got it to where we are. That is not the life that you all signed up to live, to raise these children to live a satisfactory, basic bitch life. Nobody signed up for that. We all signed up to have these babies and have them live the best quality of life, live a better life than I lived, right? So thinking that way is not that. And you know this. I know everybody knows this at the core, but because we have autism in our world, oh, but our situation's different, Michelle. We have autism. Bullshit. Bullshit. You know how I feel about this. And I say all of this with love. Okay? So the idea here is, okay, when I say you're going to increase the time, you're going to widen the window, I mean every time you take them, I'm going to widen the window and I'm going to keep collecting data and I'm going to keep rewarding every time. So let's say every 2 hours they go. Okay, the next time is 2 hours and 15. The next time it's going to be 2 hours and 30, 2 hours and 45. And then one of two things is going to happen. And I know you know this, but I'm just going to share it anyway. Either they're going to feel nature call and they're going to go run and use the bathroom. And it's going to be fabulous to celebrate. Or they might start peeing their pants. And we're going to have to observe what we see and tweak the process as we go. If our child starts to use the bathroom in their underwear, and we're watching, right? Because we're gonna like you're not doing an intensive where you're constantly watching them. You're watching around that time when you know they're gonna have to go. You're looking for their tells. By this point, you probably know they got the pee dance. They're wiggling in their seat. There'll always be ways to know. And what I want to do is I want to tighten the world that they live in. If I accidentally, I had a mom tell me that her daughter pooped in the bathtub. One poop came out, and I said, "Well, what did you do?" "Well, we drained the bath, and by the time I drained the water, the poop went down the drain." And I said, "And then what?" "Well, then she got dressed, and then we went on our merry way." Bullshit, right? I have to create a world where peeing and pooping outside of the toilet sucks for them, and doing it where they're supposed to, Disney World experience. So even at this stage, even if there isn't really a mess to clean, we're gonna make it loud and clear to them. What we can do while we're waiting for them to hear nature call and really understand that is to teach them that doing it anywhere else, no good. Doing it in the toilet, fabulousness. So even if there isn't a mess to clean, you're gonna be like, "Oh, you poo-pooed in the potty, time to clean up," or "You poo-pooed in the tub, time to clean up." And we're gonna clean it up, even though there's nothing to clean up. We're gonna stop the bath fun. We're gonna shower them down. We're gonna shower their butts, right? Even if there isn't anything to clean, we're gonna make it unpleasant. Unpleasant, not to the point of like, we're not trying to make it like painful, but we're trying to make it really uncomfortable. You don't want to do it where you've been doing it. You got to do it where we've been practicing. And remember, when you do it there, you get your fabulous reward. Okay? So let's say we have another example. And the other example is like they're playing, and I happen to see a little dribble in their undies. And it's not a full on pee, but it's like a little dribble. What do we do, Michelle? Well, I measure the dribbles. Like, is it a very damp undie? Is it a mediumly damp? Is it a light damp? How has it been improving over time? As soon as I realized I got damp undies, oh, you did a little pee pee in your undies. Time to clean up. Even if there's nothing to clean up, we're cleaning up wherever she was sitting. We're taking the undies, throwing them in the in the laundry. We're getting fresh undies. We're wiping our area, and we're taking data the entire time. We're reminding the child, hey, anytime you go in the toilet, we're gonna have this, fun Disney experience. But anytime you do it in your pants, we got to do cleanup. Not, it's disgusting. No, no, we don't like that, right? So the idea here is that while we're practicing this, the child is still learning. They're still understanding, but now they're getting to feel their internal body telling them what to do, not so much our external. And you can alter your prompts too. You can say, okay, if I always say, come on, time to go to the potty, I could say, you could go to the potty if you need to go. I had a mom this weekend tell me that they had widened the window and then they had widened it again. They really okay, she went like 3.5 hours without going. So then it was 5 hours later and they saw her kind of wiggling. And they said, you could go to the bathroom. And she just kind of looked at them like, yeah, you could just use the bathroom if you got to go. And usually it was a full on prompt where they were taking her to the bathroom, turn on the light, go in the whole thing. And she kind of looked at them and then, she's feeling it. And they're like, go ahead, if you got to go, go. And she ran in there all by herself after years of trying to potty train this child, ran in there all by herself. And as she was running, they said, don't forget to turn on the light. And they heard the light switch flicker and she went. And it was a huge celebration. Something they could have been, listen, could you live a satisfactory life with reminding them or using a potty watch or whatever method you wanted to use to continually support this child with this skill? It's better life than living in diapers, but that's basic bitch. It's bare minimum. Your kids deserve more than that. So if you're not gambling, so let's say I do this, right? And because I know that we got the naysayers in the back, like, well, what happens if I do this and they have accents everywhere? I've got to take ABC data around my accents. So I got to know, okay, what were they doing? What was the behavior? Did I notice it? Did I not notice it? Could I have given them a gentler prompt? The idea here is to fade all prompts. You're just giving them a little support until they can really grab the wheel by themselves and feel, oh, I feel my wiggles coming. Okay, I need to go to the bathroom, right? They need to understand that that the wiggles means the bathroom. It's going to be time to go to the bathroom. They just learning. A lot of the times what you'll see is like if you have these kids that are having pee accents, they may be peeing, running to the bathroom. Their damp underwear may get less damp over time. You've got to be a detective about this. You've got to be taking your data around this. So you're going to ABC data it. And guess what? When Juliana was little and I had potty trained her and I didn't have half the potty prowess I have now, right? When I was potty training her back in the day, I said, okay, we're good, we're done with diapers, and she got a UTI, which really sucked because every time she had to pee or she always felt like she had the need to pee, she was having accents, it was a mess. I had to put her back in pull-ups while she was on the antibiotics, and I felt like defeated. I was like, oh, I can't believe this. We spent so much time getting her completely potty trained. Now we're back in diapers. It sucked, sucked, sucked. And I said, you know what? My core belief, right? My I guess my primary to the bone belief is I will not be somebody. I don't care how autistic she is, there's no fucking world I'm gonna live in where I'm changing the diaper of an 8 or 9 year old. And that core belief was still in the back of my head as I'm giving her these antibiotics. It says, as soon as these antibiotics are done, we're going right back to potty training. And that's what I did. So as soon as they were off, pull-ups were off, underwear's back on, I put her back on a schedule. Guess what? You don't start from zero when you have a regression. If life lifes you and you can't do it and you have to take a couple steps back, guess what happens? You don't When you get back on the horse, you don't start at zero. You start just a little bit before where you were before the regression happened, and then you pick up back where you left off very fast. So that's another thing that they don't tell you about regression. Listen, if your child regresses, it's normal. It's a part of life. People regress. But when you go back to teach the skill or put it back into rotation, as I like to say, they pick up very quickly. They're not starting from zero as if they've never learned this before. They have a memory. Their brain remembers. Hey, this seems familiar. We've done this before. Oh yeah, I remember that feeling. And they pick up where you left off. Regression doesn't mean when we have to go back and do it, we start at zero. So, worst case scenario, if you're ready to release the prompt, let's release the prompts. Let's stop prompting our kids. Knowing that you can always get back what you had, what are you waiting for? And I say that with love, right? And I think one of the things, and I'm just going to finish up this training just saying this. I think one of the things that we really have to do is this did not just happen to us. Potty training up to the point where every time I tell them to go, they release didn't just happen. I fucking created that. So if I created that, I can create that again. It didn't just happen to me. It wasn't like the skies parted and magic spring, potty pixie dust came and hit us. I worked very hard with my child to create that result. That means I can do it again. It's repeatable. And that's what you guys got to get behind. This isn't magic woo. You came, listen, if you came that far, you worked hard to get it, you will be able to get it back. And then we just tweak and test the process along the way. I hope this is helpful for everybody.